There are some nights you forget almost as soon as morning comes. And then there are nights that divide your life into two parts: before and after. I was asleep when something woke me. It was around 5 in the morning. My children were asleep nearby. The house was very quiet. And when I opened my eyes, there was a man standing beside my bed. When I first saw him standing there, it was just still a little bit dark in my room because the sun had not completely come up yet. And when I looked at him, I thought I was dreaming. I closed my eyes to go back to sleep. And when I closed my eyes, I was thinking, what did I just see? And I opened my eyes again, and I could not believe what I was seeing. I couldn't understand what I was seeing. He was wearing a white hockey mask, and he had a knife in his hand. And I remember thinking, this is a dream. This can't be real. He was still there. I screamed, and within seconds, he was down on top of me, and his hand covered my mouth. He put the knife against my throat, and he whispered, "Don't scream." I thought about my children who were sleeping down the hall, and there was only one thought in my mind: keep them safe. People sometimes wonder, what would they do in a moment like that? Would you scream? Would you fight? Would you run? I learned something that morning. Sometimes you don't get to choose. Your body chooses for you. Mine became very still, but my mind started working. I listened to his voice. I noticed his clothes. I even looked at his mask, what it looked like. I looked at the knife, even his shoes, even the shoelaces. I tried to memorize every inch of him. So if I made it through and I survived, I would be able to describe him to the police later. Anything I thought might help me remember him. I studied everything. Because somewhere inside all that terror was another thought I didn't want to think. If I survive this, I need to be able to tell the police something. He asked me if I had any money. I told him I did, and I told him where it was. I was hoping that was why he'd come. Take it. Take everything. Just leave. But it became clear very quickly that money wasn't why he was there. And that's when I really became scared. Not for what he might take from me, but for what he might do. I'm not going to describe everything that happened in that room. Some details don't need to be spoken aloud for you to understand them. But at one point, he pushed a pillow over my face, hard. Suddenly, I could not breathe. There's something strange about the mind when it realizes it might die. Everything becomes very small. You're not thinking about next year or about tomorrow. You're thinking about the next breath. I managed to put my hands a little bit over my eyes just before he put the pillow over my face. I was able to push that pillow up a little bit so at least I could see, where the knife was, where he was, what was happening. And just for air, enough air so that I was able to breathe. I remember trying to stay conscious and trying not to panic. Not because I was brave, I was not brave, but because I couldn't leave my children. Even then, my thoughts kept going back to them. They were right there, right down the hall, and I couldn't get to them. And I didn't know whether being quiet was really protecting them. I didn't know if they were going to wake up. I was trying to be so quiet so they didn't wake up. Then I heard a voice. I heard my son. He was calling for me just feet away. I could hear him. Mommy. There are moments from that morning that became blurry over the years. This is not one of them. My little 2.5-year-old boy calling for me, and I could not go to him. I can remember the man telling me to tell him to go back to bed. That was so hard. I tried to make my voice sound normal, like I wasn't crying. Imagine that. Your entire body is terrified, and you're trying to sound like mommy, like everything is fine. Because that's what mothers do sometimes. We make our voices calm and steady when everything around us is chaotic. I did not want my son coming in. I wanted my son to go back to his room. I wanted him far away from that doorway and away from that man, far away from what was happening to me. I didn't want him to see what was happening or what was going to happen or might happen. I was unsure. Eventually, the man left, and I laid there after he made me count, and after I stopped and he was gone, I knew he was gone. I went to my children. First, I shut the back door and I went to my children. I was alive. They were alive. I tucked them back into bed and told them everything was going to be okay, even though nothing was okay. Because that's what mothers do. Sometimes we make things feel okay for our children, even when we're falling apart ourselves. This should have been the end of it. For a long time, I thought it should have been, but it wasn't. Because the man left my house that morning, but fear stayed. Fear never left. That's the part of trauma people don't always see. Afterwards, the police came, the hospital happens, people ask questions. Eventually, everybody goes home. And from the outside, the emergency's over. Everything's all done. But inside your mind, sometimes the emergency just keeps happening. I became afraid of the dark. I checked the locks hundreds of times. I still do even today. Check them again and again. Every sound in the house wasn't just a sound anymore. My mind wanted to know, what was that? I could no longer sleep in my own bed. Couldn't sleep in a bed for years. Had nightmares for years. Couldn't even run the vacuum cleaner. because the sound, I feared that I would turn around and he would be there and I wouldn't hear him coming up behind me because of the sound of the vacuum. Kept the blinds all closed. I locked myself away. I never went outside, ever. Fear completely consumed me. For a long time, I thought strength meant putting something behind you, moving on, not talking about it. Don't think about it. Get up, take care of the children, keep going. And I did. I did keep going. But keeping going and healing, they're not always the same thing. There were years ahead of me that would bring more struggles with my mental health. Fear, panic, isolation. Sometimes when I barely recognized myself. Times when home became the place I hid from the world. And I would wonder, why can't I just be normal? Why can't I stop being afraid? And why can't my mind understand that I'm okay, I'm safe? Today I look back at that woman very differently. She wasn't weak because she was frightened. She was carrying something enormous while still trying to be a mother. She was surviving. And sometimes survival doesn't look brave. Sometimes it looks like just getting up in the morning. Maybe that's one reason mornings like this mean so much to me now. A quiet kitchen, flour everywhere, something homemade baking in the oven, a cup of tea, nothing really remarkable happening. There was a time when I couldn't relax inside my own home. So today, ordinary feels different. So does peace. Peace feels different. And safety feels different. When I open my curtains in the morning and bake something from scratch and sit quietly in my own little home, I know what those things are worth. They're not just homemaking to me. They are pieces of a life I once wasn't sure I would ever have again. And I don't take them for granted. Sometimes I think we spend so much of our lives waiting for the big things to make us happy. And we don't understand how precious an ordinary morning can be until ordinary has been taken away from us. I understand that now. Maybe that's why I love this quiet little life so much. Maybe nothing like my story has ever happened to you. I really hope it hasn't. But maybe you understand the after. Maybe something happened years ago and everyone else has moved on, but part of you haven't. You just haven't moved on. Maybe you've wondered why something still hurts, why you still feel anxious, why certain sounds, places, music, or memories can take you right back there. Maybe you've been hard on yourself because you think you should be over it by now. I spent years being hard on myself too. So I want to tell you something I had to learn very slowly. The fact that something changed you, it doesn't mean it gets to own the rest of your story. You don't have to become the person you were before. I didn't. I became someone completely else. Someone softer, stronger. Someone who appreciates things she probably would have walked right past before. Healing for me, it didn't happen all at once. It's happened slowly. There wasn't a morning when I woke up and suddenly everything was okay. Sometimes it happens quietly. One ordinary day follows another, and one little piece of life at a time. Sometimes that's enough. I wrote about that morning in my memoir, Unbroken. I'll link it below if you're interested in reading it. I go into a lot more detail than I can here. And writing it was not easy, but I wanted to put words around experiences that I'd spent years carrying silently. Because somewhere, there's another woman sitting in her home wondering why she still doesn't feel safe. Another woman wondering if the person she used to be is ever coming back, and who's just so tired of surviving. I can't promise that everything will suddenly become easy. That wasn't my experience. I still check the locks 100 times a day. I probably will the rest of my life. But I can tell what happened to me. There was a life after the thing I thought might destroy me. Not the same life, a much different one. In some ways, a smaller one. It's quieter. It's not the life I imagined when I was younger. But different does not mean less. Look at me now. I'm standing in my kitchen, I'm baking, and I'm telling you a story I once could barely carry inside myself. House is quiet. It's just a regular morning. I'm not afraid of ordinary anymore. I treasure it so much because I know what it is to lose that feeling of safety. And I know what it is to slowly find it again. That man walked out of my house a long time ago. And yes, some pieces of that morning stayed with me. But he doesn't get this morning. He doesn't get this kitchen. He does not get my peace. And he does not get the rest of my story. I'm still here. And if you're walking through your own long after, keep going. Your story isn't finished either. You know, I've been sharing pieces of my life here on Home with Gina for a while now. And what I've learned is this. The healing doesn't happen in the big moments. It happens in the ordinary ones. The mornings where you show up. You keep showing up. The loaves of bread you bake. The quiet you learn to sit in. And if you've been watching for a while, you know that's what this channel is really about. Not about being perfect, just a woman in her kitchen trying to find peace. And I'm inviting you to do the same. That's what I want to talk to you about next. The quiet life that saved me. The one I found in this kitchen, in the ordinary days and in the small things. And if you're ready for that, that video is right here. It's called The Quiet Life That Saved Me. I think it might be the one you need most right now. And I'll see you there.